Hey, it's a Humble Collector here. In today's video, we're looking at the 4-panel death card of Franz Huber. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So panel 1 here just has an iron cross. And then moving to the interior of the card, we have a nice, almost full-page photo of Franz there with an Eastern Front ribbon. You were so good, you died too early. Whoever knew you never forgets you. And moving to panel 3 here, in Christian memory of our dear husband, devoted father, son, brother, uncle, and brother-in-law, Franz Huber, a Hutelsson, or a hutmaker's son from Guggenthal, Obergefreiter, or corporal, in a Bau and Ausbildung, or construction and training battalion, bearer of the Eastern Front Medal, who died on March 5th, 1945, at the age of 32, from the severe illness he had contracted on the Eismeer Front in the reserve hospital in Balduna after receiving last rites, and at the very bottom there, he rests in peace. Now, unfortunately, I can't seem to find any more info on Franz. Didn't find anything on Ancestry or Volksbund. I also couldn't find Balduna. There are a few places in Norway that have that as a place name for like hills and streams. So I'm assuming that somewhere in there is where he would have been, which makes sense since we have reference to him serving on the Eismeer Front there as well. Now, there's two interesting things about this card. One is the border that we see around the edges of each of the panels here. Generally, that's just a plain black border. It's very unusual for it to have any kind of texture or design like it does here. The other thing is the inclusion of the Iron Cross with swastika on panel 3 and panel 1. So, Franz here dies in March of 1945. The war ends in May in Europe, so just a few months later. And, he dies in Norway. So what's interesting is that, once the war is over, denazification laws go into effect. One of the stipulations of those laws is you're not going to be able to print swastikas anymore because, denazification. So that means that this card logically would have had to have been printed prior to May 8th, 1945, or just very shortly afterwards before those laws took effect, which is a pretty impressive turnaround, again, given this point in the war, that his family would actually get that news, have the time to put together the card, and get it printed before the war is over and those laws go into effect. Either that or this was printed very shortly post-war, and either they didn't know about the denazification laws or they didn't care. But either way, it's kind of like an odd inclusion there. Now, moving to panel 4 on the back. Duty called me out to war. I left my parents' house with God and thought about you on, even though I was in a strange place. And I look forward to seeing you again when the war and storm came to an end. But the Lord wanted it differently and picked me up from here. Now I rest in foreign soil and am in God's house. I know nothing about war and earthly suffering and am freed from every worry. Therefore, my dear ones, always remember that what God does is well done. And I'm hearing a distant snowplow right now, so hopefully that didn't pick up on the speakers. But yeah, even though we weren't able to find a lot of great information about Franz, we're still able to piece together some things from the information available. And this is still an interesting card regardless, between the border, the inclusion of the Iron Cross of swastika this late. So yeah, overall, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.